Oh, hey guys, how's it going? Long time no see. I'm a mom now. That is what's new in my life. How are you guys doing? Last time I filmed a video was a couple weeks before I gave birth, and then our daughter was born on September 30th. So she's about 5 weeks old now, almost 6 weeks, which is so crazy. It has been the wildest month of my life, which I'm sure any new parent can also relate to. But for today's video, I just wanted to say hello. I wanted to introduce you guys to her. She's napping right now, just in our bedroom right there. So if you hear some swooshing sounds, that is her noise machine. And yeah, I'll definitely introduce you to her in this video. Hopefully she continues to nap so I can get through kind of the labor story and all that. And I wanted to explain to you guys like how we came up with her name and all that kind of stuff. If you follow me on Instagram, you already have a lot of this information, so make sure you guys check me out on there. I'm pretty active on there like every single day. But yeah, for today's video, I just wanted to tell you guys my labor story because it's positive. For me, when I was pregnant, I watched a lot of these videos and looked up a lot of positive birth stories. I had a book that I was reading about it as well, because if you've ever been pregnant, you know that people are very quick to tell you like horror stories about women giving birth. And I think it's really important if you can to like fill your mind with positive ones. You know, anything can happen, but I think like to remember that most of the time things do go well is really important. So yeah, I think that's it, you guys. It feels so nice to be sitting here talking to you. I'm just in my living room. I don't think I've ever really filmed a video out here. I just thought for this type of video, something nice and chill would be good. We haven't moved yet. I feel like people will ask me that. This is still our condo. We move in December. I told you guys we were building a house, so I definitely want to film some videos about that. And yeah, and now that I kind of am a little bit more in the swing of things, I'm feeling a bit more like a human again and not just like a complete zombie. I'm definitely going to get into filming some videos, do some vlogs. I definitely want to show you guys this condo before we move. Do some like mom stuff. Not that I have any idea what I'm doing as a mother, but I have been loving watching like mom vlogs and like family vlogs and that kind of stuff. And I'll definitely still do some makeup stuff as well. But yeah, do you guys like this headband? It's from H&M and I love, this is like my absolute favorite color. That was a very random side note, but anyways, let's talk about my labor. So Bowie Michelle May Myers, that is our daughter's name, was born, like I said, on September 30th. Her due date was September 24th. So I delivered at 40 plus 5, so 40 weeks and 5 days. And you guys, I was so ready. Like I was done. Up until like honestly about like the 39 week mark, I was fine. Like I wasn't impatient. I wanted her to be in there. You know, I knew it was safer for her in there typically than it, like you want them to be in there as long as possible, basically. Like not as long as possible, but you guys know what I mean. But I really was ready. I was kind of over it. And I was going to be induced a few days after her birthday if she didn't come that day. So I'm really happy she did. But basically so she was born on a Wednesday morning. The Monday night we went into the hospital because I was having some like cramping and that kind of thing. But I didn't think I was in labor, but they did tell me at that time I was in prodromal labor, which I had never heard about. But it's basically like prolonged labor, which is not fun. So I was having contractions like every 20 minutes, but they were not painful at all. So they checked me, they sent me home, which by the way, I didn't know this, you guys, when they check you, like, you know, they go up there to like see if you're dilated. They use a lot of pressure and a lot of force, and I felt violated. It was fine, but I just wasn't ready for that. So I just wanted to throw that out there that if they really, you know, a lot of pressure, it's normal, I think. Anyways, so they sent us home. I was fine. I slept through the night. Like, well, for me, sleeping through the night was still waking up like literally 4 or 5 times. I kid you not, you guys. I woke up more in the night being pregnant than I do with Bowie. Like she right now gets up like 2 or 3 times to feed in the night. And when I was pregnant, I was up way more than that. Like I swear it was every hour to like pee, or I needed a drink of juice, or like I was so uncomfortable. So like when people tell you that, like when you're pregnant, oh, you just wait, like just wait for the baby to be here, you're never gonna sleep again. Like honestly, people are so quick to like scare you, but truly my pregnancy at the end, I was sleeping less than I am now, which is crazy. But anyways, that's just a little side note. So we go home, I sleep. The next day, my sister and I, we went to the mall. You know, we were all masked up and everything, but I just needed, she was off of work because since I was late, she had taken that week off of work to like help me. So she was off, and so we went to the mall, we're walking around, everything was fine, but truly like every now and then I'd be like, just a sec, and I would have like a contraction, but it was so minor that it wasn't like super painful or anything. There's Bowie. Sometimes she just lets out like one little cry and then goes back to sleep. So, okay. So then I go home. I had a nap. I literally took a nap every single day that I was pregnant, you guys. Like, again, like I said, like, I think for me, pregnancy was just very hard. And that's, I feel like, why I'm loving motherhood so much, is because I'm so happy to not be pregnant. That sounds bad. I obviously really love Bowie, but you know what I mean. So I go home and I take a nap, and I woke up from a contraction, and this was the first time a contraction was like painful. And I then had a contraction right away after that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this has really sped up quickly here. Because the Monday night, like the night at the hospital, they told me this is still going to be days, like prodromal labor lasts a long time. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I really wasn't expecting much to happen. So that afternoon I wake up from the nap, and I'm like, wow, these contractions are happening pretty quickly. And so I was having a hard time timing them. Like they say, you know, you time it from the start of one contraction to the start of the next one. But like, honestly, I just am not that swift apparently, because I was struggling. Downloaded an app really quickly, which I would highly recommend. And it basically was like a contraction app. And I realized my contractions were like 3 minutes apart, you guys. And you're supposed to go to the hospital at 5 minutes apart. And so I was like, oh my gosh, and this was at like 4 in the afternoon. So I called Brooks, my husband, and he was at work, and I was like, you got to come home. Like, I think it's time. Like, I think we got to go. But I had just ordered food. I had just placed an Earl's order, and I was like, but make sure you pick up the food. Like, I definitely want to eat. So he left work, he got the food, he came home. But at this point, you guys, like I was in a lot, like the contractions were painful. I had my exercise ball and I was working through them, but like breathing through them, as they say, but like it was getting intense. So we ate really quickly. I had all my bags packed. We were ready to go, and we basically rushed to the hospital. And the contractions on the way there, I thought to myself, you guys, this baby's going to be here in like an hour. Like I thought, for how close together the contractions were and how painful they were, like things were happening. Of course not though. So we get to the hospital. I'm in like the triage, like waiting area. And mind you, this is all during COVID, which is like, God, a whole other like element to the story. So it was stressful, right? Like we're in there, and I don't know. So anyways, I'll talk about that in a second. So the contractions are 3 to 4 minutes apart. You guys, they checked me, you know, the checking, the pressure. I was not dilated. They said I was dilated a fingertip. You need to be 10 centimeters before you push. Like truly, like I'm probably dilated a fingertip right now. Like I wasn't dilated at all. And I was shocked. And they were like, yeah, like I'm really sorry. Like with prodromal labor, it can take a long time. And I was like, what? Like I'm in so much pain. And they gave me laughing gas, like to breathe through the contractions, which honestly was very helpful. But I think more than anything, the laughing gas just actually made me breathe, because you have to like inhale. Anyways, so they were going to send me home, but I was like scared, because we were there for like 2 hours working through these contractions. Every couple minutes they gave me an exercise ball there, and they were going to send us home because they checked me again after a couple hours, and I was still only like I improved a little bit. Like I was 2 centimeters, I think, but they were going to send me home. And I was like, please don't, like, I don't think I can get through this at home by myself, like without pain medication and all. Like I don't know, I started to get really anxious and scared. And they had offered to give me like morphine. They said, well, we'll give you some morphine and then you can go home, which also just wasn't sitting well with me. Like I was like, no, help me. Like I don't want to leave. So then anyways, like I had said, I had actually, I don't think I mentioned this part. I had an appointment the next day to discuss induction. Like it was basically going to be like, okay, you are 1 week overdue that Wednesday. So they were going to induce me, I believe, that like Thursday or Friday, just depending what the hospital had available for rooms and whatnot. So the resident doctor there, he actually, they were still wanting to send me home. He came by and he's like, you know what? You were going to be scheduled to be induced. We have a room available. I think we should do this. Like, I think we should get you in and get this going. And I was like, yes, let's do it. There was no hesitation. I feel like I didn't even consult with Brooks. I was just like, yes, get me in a room. I'm ready to do this. So it still took them a few hours to get me in a room. Now, another part of my story is that I always had a plan to get an epidural placed in my back for pain. Not even for pain, it was because, so I have scoliosis, I have a curvature in my spine, it's something I've always had, and that put me actually at high risk. Like, I was deemed a high risk pregnancy because of this, and it's mainly because my back is so curved that if an emergency happened and they needed to get the baby out right away, they didn't want to do a spinal tap, meaning like they couldn't freeze me completely. The epidural is different than a spinal tap, and it was a safer option. So they said to me, we'd like to have the epidural placed in case we need to use it. And then of course, if you want to use it just for pain, if you end up having, you know, a vaginal delivery as opposed to a C-section, but we need to have it in there just in case. So honestly, the epidural being placed in my back was the worst part of my entire labor experience, because I was still having contractions and it took him over an hour to get it in the right spot, and he poked me like 5 different times. Now, I have like I said, I have that curve in my back, so I know it was like a really hard one for him to do, but I was frustrated because I had like ultrasounds in advance actually of my back, so they could see exactly where they were supposed to place it, and he wasn't looking at those. He didn't really look at my chart. It was just, that whole experience wasn't the best, and I know it was stressful for Brooks. Like, he was in the room with me and, you know, watching obviously a doctor poke my back with this massive needle all these times was stressing him out. Like, anything to do with your spine you don't want to mess with, right? But normally that's not how an epidural goes. Like, just so you know, like, I think for most women with, you know, a nice old straight spine, it's pretty standard and no problem. But for me, it just took a long time. But they did get it in, and the epidural worked at first. Quote, I say at first, and I actually fell asleep, and I fell asleep through the contractions for a few hours, which was great because at this point it was like midnight. And you know, we were tired. Brooks also got to sleep for a couple hours, which was really good. So basically what happened was, after that, I woke up and was in a lot of pain. They were topping me up with the epidural. They gave me even like a little button so I could get more, but unfortunately, like, it didn't work. You guys, the epidural like didn't work, and I was shocked because I've heard of that before, but like, you of course don't expect that to happen. So basically the contractions were getting really, really intense, and at like 4 a.m. they checked me. I was still, you guys, only like 4 to 5 centimeters dilated. Like, for how intense my contractions were, the nurse was even saying like, oh man, like, this is taking a long time. They did end up giving me oxytocin, which was something I didn't want. It is a drug that helps to get labor going, and it also can make your contractions more intense. But yeah, they gave me oxytocin, which ended up being fine. I didn't want anything to do with being induced because that is a form of induction. But it is what it is. Like, they said, this is what we need to do. And I was like, Kate, let's do it. And I feel like they explained it further to me, but in those moments, you guys, I don't know. I was just like, okay, like, I trust you, let's do this. So they gave me that, and then all of a sudden the contractions were so intense. It was so painful, but like, also it was okay. Sorry, it became like all out of focus. But that's like the main thing I'd want someone to take away from my labor story, or like what the message I would give to someone who is nervous for labor. Like, I was very nervous for it, and it was so painful, but it was okay. Like, you can get through it. And like, I look back on it and I'm like, that was fine. In the moment, it was not fine, right? But like, it was completely fine. At one point I was like, I can't do this, when they told me I was only like 5 centimeters dilated. And the nurse, who was amazing, I had a really phenomenal nurse, she was like, I was like freaking out, you guys, and she was like, you're panicking right now. And I was like, yes, I am. Like, I am panicking, because it felt like it was still so far away. But she said, I think things are really going to start to pick up now. So anyways, the contractions were very intense. Epidural not working. It was so weird, you guys. Like, I could get up and walk around. Like, I don't know if he got it in the wrong spot or what happened, but yeah, the nurse was just kind of like, unfortunately, this does happen sometimes. And they were offering me other, you know, pain things, but at this point I was like, you know what? I'm fine. Like, let's just do this. Like, she explained that the epidural actually was probably helping a little bit with the pain, but it wasn't helping with the pressure. And I'm very, very short-waisted, and my baby was quite big. And so she was like, there's just so much pressure happening. So basically, working through the contractions, it was not fun. Finally, you guys, at freaking 7 in the morning, I was ready to push. I was 10 centimeters. That felt like a lifetime between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. because all I wanted to do was push. Like, that desire to push, you guys, it's so interesting. It's like your body is telling you to do something, you know, push, but they're saying you can't, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna hurt the baby, blah, blah, blah. So when they finally said I could push, I was so relieved that the pushing was actually not that painful, because it just felt like, like, I was like, yes, let's do this, because my body wanted to push so hard. So I only pushed, oh, she's crying. I only pushed, you guys, like Brooke said, it was like 25 minutes. Like, it was like 4 major pushes and she was out, which was so great. Like, I was like pushing as if my life depended on it. Like, I literally thought my other organs were going to come out as well. So she comes out, and the first thing the doctor says is, oh, that's a big baby, good for you. One momento. Did you have a good nap, honey? Hi. Guys, here's Bowie. I feel like that was perfect. Oops. I feel like that was perfect timing for her to wake up, because I was just telling you about her entrance into the world. So here she is. She is our little sweetheart. She weighed 8 pounds, 4 ounces, which the doctor said was big. He was like, oh, that's a big baby for you. Oh, are you still sleepy, sweetheart? But everything was good. She was completely healthy. We were in the hospital for less than 24 hours after she was born, just because of COVID. They were trying to get people out as quickly as possible. And yeah, like I said, that was just a whole other kind of story, because it was stressful, right? Like, delivering during the COVID pandemic, and the hospital we were at actually had a COVID outbreak during our week that we were going in. It was really, really hard, but the team of doctors and nurses were awesome. Like, they said to me, like, we don't want you worrying about this, we'll worry about it, like, you focus on having a baby. So I feel like that was really great of them. But yeah, so then we came home, and it was the weirdest feeling when they said we could go home. It felt like, what? We're allowed to take her with us? Like, we don't know what we're doing, you know? But basically, yeah, we came home, and the rest is history. I don't know. I honestly, you guys, have been so weird as a mom, because I'm so tired. I don't know how to form sentences. I don't know how to talk. I forget how to spell things. Like, it's so funny, because I've been weird. Okay. Anyways, so her name is Bowie Michelle May Myers, you guys. She has one arm out right now because she busted out of her swaddle, because I'm not as good at swaddling as her daddy. But her name Bowie, so basically Brooks, my husband, thought of the name Bowie, and I at first said, no, I don't think so. Like, I had thought maybe for a boy, Bowie. A lot of people have said, like, oh, do you guys love David Bowie? And we do, we like him, but that isn't really what she's named after. We just thought the name was cute. I really wanted a unique name, my name being Kelsey. I've always grown up as like one of 10 Kelseys, and I wanted something unique, but not like too crazy. And Brooks wanted something, you know, not too like hippie. Like, I really like names like Lavender and Daisy and Clover and like that kind of thing. So this was kind of in the middle of, I don't know, it's just something that we both agreed on, I guess. But now that she's here, like, her name is totally Bowie. Like, I was a little bit hesitant even leading up to naming her. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, but it's so her name, and I'm so glad we went with it. And then her middle names, Michelle, May, are in honor of both of our moms. We lost Brooks's mom last year, sadly, and my mom passed away almost 8 years ago now. So that is in honor of both of them. My mom's name was Donna May, and his mom's name was Michelle. So Bowie, Michelle, May Myers. And yeah, it just totally suits her. And yeah, I've been having so much fun, you guys, like dressing her in little outfits. Like, I feel like I don't even get ready anymore. I mean, I did today, but I just like getting her ready. And yeah, you guys should definitely follow me on Instagram if you want to see more of her outfits, because I spend some time on them, okay? But yeah, overall, it's been hard. I'll be honest, you guys. She cries a lot. She hasn't been diagnosed colicky or anything, but I wouldn't say that she's like a peaceful baby, you know, like it's been hard. She cries a lot, but we're loving her through it. We're working through it. And she's still so little, right? Like, she's going to be 6 weeks old on Wednesday. And so she's still just getting used to the world, but breastfeeding has been going well, thankfully. And yeah, at nighttime she sleeps pretty well. So even in the day, if she's pretty grumpy, we just work through it. Am I not even showing you to them? Look at, hi, hi. I love you. I love you. So yeah, so that's it, you guys. I think that is all I have to say. I just wanted to share that story because, yep, the epidural wasn't great when it was going in, didn't work, but overall, you guys, I had a positive birth experience, and I think it's so important for us to talk about those things because it's so easy to get focused on like scary stuff when it comes to birth, but everything was really good. You know, this past 5 weeks has been truly the best 5 weeks of my life, but also the most challenging. And yeah, I've been feeling good. And I will also tell you, like, once my body had healed a little bit, like after a couple weeks, like I had to get some stitches down there and all of that. I should have included that. I did tear. I had to get some stitches. But once I was feeling better, it made such a big difference in feeling like I could care for her, now that I wasn't like healing myself, you know? So anyways, I am so happy to be back here, you guys. If you have any video ideas, please let us know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is little Bowie, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Can you say bye-bye? Bye. Oh. What are you looking at? You see the fan? You smiling? I love you. I love you.